Hey everybody, it's Jesse with the Loader Real Estate Group with another weekly real estate tip. Today I want to talk about the difference between two terms that get mistaken for each other quite often: deposit and down payment. Okay, so I'm going to explain the difference to you and explain how they work in terms of a real estate transaction. So down payment. Down payment is the lump sum money that you have that you're going to put down on a house. So let's say you're going to put 10% down on a $300,000 house. This is the $30,000 that you're going to put down, and then the bank's going to lend you the $270,000 remaining for your mortgage. Okay, so that's pretty straightforward. Down payment, that's what it is. A deposit is different than a down payment. A deposit is required once you write an offer, and the purpose of it is twofold. One, it's sort of like, you know, a good faith, like, hey, here's what I'm willing to risk if I don't move ahead with this, right? Although it's so difficult to enforce that, which is another topic, but that's one reason what it's for. The real reason why deposits exist is protect the realtor's commission, okay? But again, sort of a different topic. Here's from the perspective of a home buyer, when you are required for a deposit, here's what it is and here's what happens to it. So you write an offer on a house, and let's use the $300,000 mark as an example. You purchase a house, everybody agrees, 300 grand at the time of offer, you negotiate it, everybody agrees, you get everything signed, great. So now me as the buyer's agent's representative, I need to get a deposit check from the buyer. So not your whole down payment, but just a deposit. Now there is no legal minimum for a deposit. However, for a $300,000 house, what's really common around here is about $10,000. So you as the buyer would write a check or get a bank draft or do a wire transfer, whatever, for $10,000. That will go to typically the listing agent's brokerage. Okay, so we write a check out to Century 21, for example, for 10,000 bucks, and we give it to them. That deposit check gets cashed, okay, and gets held in a trust account until you either remove conditions or not. Okay, so now that gets cashed and that's sitting over here. You go through the conditional period, arrange your financing, and do a home inspection. Well, let's say the home inspection comes up with a ton of issues and you don't want the house anymore. No problem. We simply do a non-waiver of conditions, and then you would get all that $10,000 back. Okay, takes a few business days, but you get it back. Okay. The other scenario is if everything's good and you decide to move ahead with the purchase of the home, and you remove your financing condition and you remove your home inspection condition. Now the property is sold. Okay, so that money sits there at the brokerage until closing, and that gets transferred off to the lawyers. So now you've already paid $10,000 towards this house, right? And your deposit. You're planning on putting $30,000 as your down payment. So when it comes time to paying the balance of your down payment, you only owe $20,000. Okay, so your deposit goes towards your down payment always, and if you don't proceed with the house during the conditional period, you get it back in full. The only time that you will not receive your deposit back is if you get approved for financing. You do the home inspection and you're satisfied with it as the home buyer. You instruct your realtor to remove conditions. The realtor removes conditions. Now the house is sold. It comes off of MLS. It's reported with a sold price, the whole deal. And now let's say it's 60 days before you're supposed to move in. And let's say that date is July 1st. On July 1st, you're supposed to move into this house. For whatever reason, you decide you're not going to do that anymore. That $10,000 that you put down as a deposit, it's gone. Forget about it. You're never going to get it back. Okay? What happens to that? Well, technically, the listing agent would be entitled to half of that money, and the rest would go to the seller, because now they have to go and they have to try and resell their house. The seller can also sue you, the buyer, for damages. Let's say the housing market tanked and now their house is worth $20,000 less than it was when you bought it. Well, now they can sue you for that $20,000 difference, just as an example. Okay, a bit of an extreme example, but that's what can happen. So that's the only time that you would lose your deposit. So deposit is a good faith amount of money you put up at the time of offer that does get cashed, okay, and it gets held in trust. But it always goes towards your down payment, whatever that total amount is that you're putting down on the home. So that's the difference between deposit and down payment. I hope that was clear. If not, feel free to reach out with any questions. Have a good day.